What is going on, guys? It is Live with Fray. Hope you guys are all doing very well today, and welcome back to another episode of Just the Good Stuff, where I show you only the good stuff from the vendor restocks each week. Starting off right here inside the terminal as we usually do, I am recommending this Cassidy with Competent and Responsive. You can just change Competent over to whatever you want, Accurate, Unforgiving, whatever you want. This works really well with Lone Star. The next one that we're going to take a look at is this Og Para. Again, I'm a little biased because this was like my favorite gun back in the day, but it does actually have really good rolls with Fierce, Deadly, and Unforgiving. You can just roll like Responsive here if you want to, or Vicious. This would work out pretty well for a PvP build if you do not yet have the house or a good MP5. The next one that I want to check out is this C79 scope down here with 19% critical hit damage, 4% optimal, and 5.5 headshot damage. We are missing some maximum values here. I believe optimal range might be 5%. I'm not entirely sure about that one, but I know headshot is 6%. And we are, of course, missing critical hit chance here, but I do still recommend buying this if you didn't manage to get the 18% one that was for sale last week. Our next vendor is going to be right over here inside the base of operations to the Dark Zone vendor. This vendor selling a pretty decent LVOA with Brutal, Vicious, and Adept. There's a few different things I would recommend with this one. For one thing, just to make sure you guys are aware, Brutal is not like the best talent to be using in PvP. It doesn't really increase your damage by all that much just because of how the formulas are mathematically. It's not really recommended to run Brutal with PvP, so if you're looking for a good PvP weapon, I would instead roll off Brutal for something along the lines of Deadly, and this would work out pretty well. Every time you use a skill, you're going to get higher critical hit chance. Deadly is, of course, going to benefit hand in hand with Adept. If you wanted to use this for PvE, I would also recommend keeping Adept, but if you wanted to roll it off for something like Ferocious or something, you could do that as well. But this would actually work out pretty decent with Predator's Mark, again, rolling Brutal off for Deadly. This would be okay if you don't have a decent AR for Predator's Mark just yet. Our next vendor is over here inside the security wing at the base of operations at the advanced weaponry vendor. This vendor is selling a really good small grip as well with 19% critical hit damage, 5% optimal range, and 2% accuracy. This is a very, very good high-end underbarrel to be using on the majority of your weapons in the game. Our next safe house is going to be over at the Last Call. Alright, I've made it over here to the Last Call vendor. This vendor is going to have a pro red dot sight actually. Instead of a C79, we have a pro red dot, critical hit damage, chance, and headshot. It's just that we are missing all maximum attribute rolls here. Still a really good option if you don't have something like this. I really prefer running the pro red dots on my ARs and my SMGs because I think it just looks better. So if you're looking for something where you don't have to actually scope in for something such as Deadeye, I would definitely recommend purchasing this if you don't have these already, and if you prefer the look of these over the C79 scopes. Our next vendor is going to be East 53rd Street. This is our first Dark Zone vendor. And this vendor is going to have a couple items. The first one is this lightweight M4 with Destructive and Sustained and Responsive. This one could work out fairly well for the majority of PvE builds. You're just going to be stuck with Responsive on the bottom slot, which really isn't bad. You could use this for a striker build. Responsive is a multiplicative talent, so it's going to increase your damage by a fair amount against the NPCs that are in close range. Just roll off Sustained for something like Brutal, or really whatever you think would work out well there. Additionally, I'm recommending the Stamina mod with 263 stamina and over 3100 skill power. This works out really well with defense builds. If you are not speccing so much into the stamina attribute, you could instead use these mods, and then it would also give you that extra skill power if you wanted to roll something else onto the gear instead of skill power on the mask, knee pads, or backpack. Our next vendor is going to be over at the DZ04 Saferoom, so I'm going to head over there and then I'll meet you guys there. Alright, I've made it to the DZ04 Saferoom. This vendor is selling a pulse critical hit damage mod for us. I always recommend purchasing these if you don't have these. They are very reliable to have when you don't have them. They're very useful for the majority of solo builds if you are utilizing the pulse, or in general, they're not terrible to just buy to keep in your stash just so you don't have to worry about crafting them later. Our next vendor is going to be DZ 5th Avenue. The 5th Avenue vendor is going to have the corresponding performance mod for critical hit chance, so I usually recommend just buying 4 of each so you always have them on whatever build you really need them. Keep in mind that the pulse critical hit chance and damage performance mods do not work on your allies, so this is only for a solo build where you can utilize these. The last checkpoint we're going to be heading to is West 46th Street. The West 46th Street vendor is basically just going to have a lightweight M4 version of the LVOA that's for sale this week. Brutal is on the LVOA. We have Commanding here. I am still recommending that you roll off that top talent no matter what for something like Deadly, and it's going to have the exact same talent, so Vicious and Adept are on the bottom. Alright, now we're going to head over to Camp Clinton. This is going to be the first week where I'm only going to be recommending like top ticket items for you guys for the blueprints. I'm working on the blueprint video as we speak. I'm hoping to have it done by this week, so I will be able to use that in future reset videos. There's really nothing special this week anyway. There is like a red small grip for sale inside Cam Clinton that typically I would recommend, as well as the black small grip power level 33 is for sale inside the terminal. But the big ticket item that I'm recommending, we're going to head down to the gear score 204 section, and we do have the LVOA blueprint here, gear score 204. So I would recommend this one for your tactician builds, where you are wanting to unlock the destructive and ferocious talents on the top with determined on the bottom. This is the absolute best case scenario for you. That is going to be everything for this week's Just the Good Stuff vendor video. Hopefully there's some items you guys will be picking up. There's definitely a lot of options for assault rifles this week. Unfortunately, no damage to elite mods. That is really unfortunate, but hopefully next week we'll get really lucky and get a 4%. So we all need to manifest that for ourselves. Everybody, if you are not manifesting a 4% damage to elite mod, get out of the video. I'm just kidding. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next one. Have a great rest of your day.